I feel like I should light a cigarette.
Shit, man.
This one's for all the ladies out there.
Don't do that.
Oh, man.
Oh, welcome. Welcome, everybody, back to Wook Plus on Weekend and Wook. We're joined by Kev the Great Win. We are here on Wook Plus Sunday morning. Gonna have a chill little morning stream. Not a ton going on, but we got some things to talk about. So why not? We'll do what we do and we'll have a little conversation. How's everything, Kev? How you been, man?
All right. We've added all these shows, and with some other things I do, it's become a full-time job.
Yeah, well, we're doing now. I was thinking about it 5 days a week. Yeah, we only have Mondays and Saturdays off. So if you're new to the channel, subscribe so you don't miss it. But we do have our new lineup set up ever since we came out with the new imaging. We do Sunday mornings at 10, which remind me, I want to talk about that. And then we do Tuesdays and Thursdays at 1 Eastern. Those are afternoon shows. On Tuesday, we do Wook Club, where we listen to a Fish or a Dead show, prior and talk about it. And then Thursdays, Panels and Frames. That's our new pop culture show where we talk comic books, film, I think potentially some video game stuff, but that's probably a little less than the comic books and movies.
Well, we're probably going to talk about the Zelda movie coming out. So there's
absolutely talking about Zelda. For those of you who don't know, I am hardcore obsessed with Zelda.
Now, did you make it through all of them? At one point, you had told everybody that you were going to try to play every game front to back.
Yeah, so there's two games I didn't make through. One is called Four Swords, which you need multiplayer to play, and it was like a GameCube game, and it's very hard to get, so I didn't do that. And then the second one was Spirit Tracks, was on the 3DS, but my 3DS crashed right between Phantom Hourglass and Spirit Tracks, so I didn't get that. But everything else, anyway, yeah, I did do that. But then Wednesday nights live, Fridays are member hang, so we're going hard.
Now, if you want to see Friday, you got to become a member, and it's only $2.99 a month. And yesterday we dropped the Taper's Choice video, one of the ones that T had filmed from the Woodis Festival last fall, and it was only available to members for a few days. So we will have the members hang this summer. We'll probably be doing set break hangs after the Fish shows once Fish hits tour.
Oh, we were definitely doing. Triforce Warriors. I flew through that McGrubb. I like that. I don't know. Actually, I hated it when I started it, and by the end of it, I was sad it was over. I was like, man, you know what I mean? Like, it grew on me through the length of the game, but in the beginning, I was like, oh shit, this game sucks.
Last time I played Zelda, I had a 64, Nintendo 64.
Yeah, Ocarina of Time, man. That is the shit. That's my favorite, I think. I don't know. We could talk about Zelda on Panels and Frames. Okay, so Sunday mornings, here's the thing. I want to throw this out there. I'm not suggesting we change the lineup right after we relaunched and locked in our lineup. But Sunday mornings are tough for like the Wook world. Like, it would be great if we were doing like news or politics or even nerd shit. But it's like, I go to book guests, I go to like come up with like a schedule, and everybody's like, yeah, I'll come on. And I'm like, cool, it's Sunday morning at 10. They're like,
yeah. I might go to bed then.
Right. They're like, I just went to bed like at 4 a.m. I don't know if I'm making it up. So I don't know. Maybe.
Or they're on West Coast and it's 7 a.m. We're asking them,
Right. Well, that's even more. I mean, the jam scene is split pretty evenly.
Thus no tea.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. We're gonna rethink it, maybe, or maybe not. And maybe we'll just
throw it out. Tell them where you're going with this, because I love this idea that you were pitching to me, and it's a Fish idea. So
yeah. So in the meantime, what I want to do. So we have Monday Green coming up, and I'm not too proud or ashamed to admit that I have not seen a Fish festival. I've been to. I mean, not that we're like stack crunching here, but I'm almost at 100 shows, and like I don't question my fandom, but for various reasons, youth, poverty, mostly those two reasons, youth and poverty. I didn't make it to the festivals, and I'm beyond hyped, out of my gourd. Like, it's literally all I can think about every day is because like you grow up dreaming about it, right? Like, well, I mean, I grew up dreaming about it. Like, I thought, my brother he did it and fucking Coventry and all he was a little bit later. He didn't do all the ones you did. But anyway, I digress. The point is that this idea of fish festivals I'm obsessed with. I think it is the pinnacle of the fish experience. And so leading up into the fest, I want to really lean into this. And so each week on Sunday morning, we're going to go through the festivals one at a time, and we're going to have guests on who were at each festival. And we're going to start with Kev and maybe another guest, but Kev did all the 1.0 festivals. So I'm going to basically get all my hype and energy and nerd out, asking questions and getting stories and, and digging into the fest world. And we had talked about doing it as part of Wook Club, but then like the thought of listening to
that
I
many
don't
shows,
know how many nights and sets that would be, right? That's a lot of fucking music. I'm like, I'll probably listen to them periodically and like go and pick out highlights as we go each week, but I didn't want to commit to like reviewing every song of every set. I think getting stories and leading into the hype of it leading into Monday Green is going to be the way to go. So I'm really excited about that. I think that's going to inject a little energy into our Sunday morning programming.
right? You just said that a fish festival is the pinnacle of the fish experience, and I want to challenge you on that at this moment. Now that we have Mexico every year and the Sphere this year, is it really still the pinnacle of the fish experience?
I think so. For me, it is. I think if you become a fan now, there's three categories. There's new fans, right, that are like just found the band in the last couple of years. I don't know that the festival thing holds the same weight. Then there's fans like you who got your fix, right? You did 7, 8 festivals and it was nice, but maybe it's not. But then there's people like me that maybe even saw like not curveball, fuck the other ball, like Magna Ball
Magna
or
Ball
like
or
Festival
Super
8 or
Ball?
something. But like liked Fish. I started listening to Fish around like 96, 97, right? I was young, but that's when my brother first introduced to me. And I knew about all of these festivals and I longed to go to every single festival and I couldn't for various reasons. So for me, yes, the fucking Clifford Ball at Great Wen and Big Cypress and even fucking It and the Tower Jam and even Coventry, I would argue. There's part of me that's like, I hear the stories about slogging through the mud and the crying. And like, yes, to me, that is pinnacle. And now I'm coming from a perspective of I've seen a bunch of New Year's Eves. I've seen the Baker's Dozen. I've seen a lot of like quote unquote peak fish. I don't think any of them hold a candle to the
Right.
festival experience. And that's from an outsider. I haven't even experienced that. That's just the perception I have.
Right. And a festival is accessible to everyone. Not everyone is ever going to be able to go to the Sphere. Most people are never going to be able to make it to Mexico at that price. So I think you're right. I was just, throwing it out there.
I mean, the Sphere is cool. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to shit on it. Like, I feel like people that didn't go to the Sphere that are probably in my boat and could never go to the Sphere are going to shit on it just because they can't do it. So they want to make it not, you know what I mean? Like, oh, I can't do it. So fuck that. But like, it looks fucking cool. Like, it definitely looks cool. I probably won't ever do it, but it looks really cool.
Do you think that the technology and stuff they learned at the Sphere and stuff like that is going to be evident on summer tour? Do you think Kuroda is going to change his setup at all in seeing what he could do, what he did there with the more minimal thing?
No, I don't think so, because I think the minimal thing only works with the backing of the screen. And I think the real strides that they took at the Sphere are for the house, right? I don't think the band is affected. What I hope to see, and I don't think a year, but like 5 years, 10 years, is that all these theaters, because they implemented the high def, hyper focused, lossless audio mixing at the Beacon. So I hope that gets, through all these theaters and the small clubs and
if you're building a club now, there are things that you have to do in my mind. One of them would be to incorporate that system if you had the money, and another is to run the wires, install hard into it a way to stream.
Right. Yeah, have good enough. I mean, that's probably more of an issue for the smaller places. I imagine all the big places have.
Yeah, but if you're going in and starting, then you're running wires anyway from the stage to the soundboard. You just run an extra cable that's going to facilitate being able to do the streaming.
Yeah. No, yeah, you got to account for webcasts. Like that is definitely part of the modern finances of the experience.
Right. There's a place in DC called Pearl Street up the way from
place,
Anthem.
right?
Yeah, up the way from the anthem. No, no, it's on the harbor there, but it's a small place. Mahali played there recently, but they stream everything live on YouTube for free,
Yeah.
which is great. I mean, how
Nexus
many
does that
times?
now too, right? Or they go
Right.
through that other app.
Yeah, I think they go through the other app, but still, you go and you can check it out, and then you're like, oh wow, and then you're paying attention because they have all the shows listed coming up, so it encourages you to maybe show up there.
Yeah. SC, I didn't want to spend a ton of time on Mo, but it looks like Rob's son killed himself, and our hearts go out to him. It's extremely sad. Um, Obviously, with the family dealing with that, the tour wasn't going to happen, nor should it. But yeah, I guess we'll do the. If you want to talk to somebody, please reach out.
Right? Yeah,
Find help.
definitely,
But yeah,
definitely.
it was
There,
very,
yeah,
very tragic news coming out of the family and the
right.
Mo camp.
Right, and we all find ourselves in dark places, and I get that that can be overwhelming. But on a happier note about that, more positive note, Humphreys last night opened up their one of the set they were supposed to collab with Mo with Rabubala, and then they had Peter and Rick come out for 2 songs.
Rebubula is one of the greatest songs of all time, and I will
Right,
fight you on that. I'm not saying Mo's one of the best bands. I'm not going to be like a Goose fan, but Rebubula is a masterpiece. It is
right,
one of the best songs, bar none. And I don't care if anyone want to fight me, I'll take you on because that song is fucking awesome. Sorry, go on.
right. Well, and then they had Chris Ponte came out. Well, Rick and Peter from Goose came out. They did a Moose song, a Moose song. They did an Humphrey song.
That should be
They
the
did,
next jam, man.
right. They did an Humphrey song and they did a cover together. And I'm totally spacing on the cover. But then two of the guys from Eggy came out. They did Benny and the Jets with them in an Humphrey
Those
song.
guys
And
are
then
so good.
Chris Ponte came out for drums, and somebody else came out. Scotty Zhang came out for drums for one song. So
That's cool.
they had some
Well,
good
they had to
collaboration.
scramble and do something because they originally, booked it with Mo. We should have kept in better touch with Eggy because we interviewed them early
Long ago.
on and then like hadn't kept our relationship. And now they're like getting big, but they're so
Eggy,
talented.
right? I message with them on Twitter. I think the problem is that they have gotten bigger and they're always playing live, so it's become harder to nail something down. But yeah, we're gonna
And
keep
we only
trying.
book for Sunday mornings. And they're like, no, man, I'm not going to wake up Sunday
Well,
morning.
somebody like Eggy we could do
We
a
could do anytime.
Thursday, right? We could do a Thursday evening if they wanted, or a Monday night, say Monday night with Eggy conversation, and have
Hey,
them come on.
welcome, Goontone. Part of the
Hey,
Wook crew.
no,
Yeah, and I agree, Stewie. But I'm still giving Mo the credit. But I mean, they're
now,
phenomenal
did you
musicians.
see Mo's new setup?
No,
They
what do you
moved
mean?
Brendan to the middle, Stasic
Okay.
all the way to stage left, and Jake on stage
Oh,
right, and then
Humphrey's
stuck.
new setup. I thought you
Yeah,
said Mo's new setup.
no,
Oh, okay.
Humphrey, and then stuck Joel behind Jake, and have Chris in the middle and the other drummer all the way over behind
Poor Joel.
Stasic.
Can you
Yeah,
see
so it's
Joel?
like 6 squares. They each have their own square, and it's 2 rows of 3.
Is Joel elevated? Are the
Yes,
back ones
Joel's
up on
elevated with the
platforms?
drummers. Yeah, yeah. But he used to be over by Brendan, and, I wonder, I'm gonna have to reach out to them. You wonder
uh,
why they do things like this, because I know Garcia moved from being stage right over to being in between Weir and the keyboard player because he wanted to hear the keyboard player more.
yeah, but they do in-ears. You're right. That's how they used to do it. But now everybody's using in-ear monitors.
That's true.
They could go anywhere. So I would
You
say
don't
it's
think you
probably
get bleeds still? You don't think you'd get a bleed sometimes?
no. I mean, no, not really. I don't. I mean, I don't have. I'm not gonna pretend like, oh, I've been in arenas and do shit. But like, I've been in studios with in-ear monitors, right? And like, you could feel the vibrations of the room. So like, your body feels the bleed, but though they're in
Right.
your ears, you hear, and they can tune each person's monitors perfectly. So if you want more keys, they could go up like 5 decibels or 4 decibels just on the keys and tune it perfectly. So I would say, I mean, I'm guessing that they probably did it because they think it looks cool, right? They're like, hey, this
Right.
looks dope. It's more balanced this way. Let's put you up there.
Right. I hear you.
I
And
love platforms though. That's half the reason I became a
yeah,
drummer because I used to watch like Kiss and like fucking Motley Crue and like all those, you know what I mean, where they like put them up on the big thing and like make the drummers bigger than life. And I was like, oh, I want to be that guy. That's the rock star.
Right,
And then I
center
find out that the
stage.
drummer's the grunt though, and like the guitar player's the rock star.
Center stage, towering above everyone.
Yeah, just monster. Whoa.
And you know, Humphreys is touring this fall with Eggy and Stolen Gin, and a couple other opening acts, but it's mainly Eggy and Humphreys. I only say Stolen Gin because they're doing the Pier 6 show.
Oh, right.
Which you should probably come down for if we can get you down here.
Yeah, I'll have to see. I got a busy summer.
You do got a busy summer. And you know what? My kid is turning 18 in June, my youngest. Yeah. And I'm going to get Pearl Jam tickets for her.
Oh, that's so sick. That's a good move. That's a good dad move.
Yeah, I've been looking, though. They're so expensive. So I've been reaching out to people. Anybody got a line on some,
sure
you can't transfer them till a week before, though, or 72 hours before Pearl Jam does that. So it's one of these things. If I find someone now, I got to stay on them for the next 6 months.
Have they held up? Like I'm a huge Pearl Jam fan, but I haven't listened to like live modern Pearl Jam. I still listen to like studio Pearl Jam. They still sound good.
Yeah, and they bust out new, old tunes, and they do bust outs. They change. You get Even Flow every night, I think, or Jared.
Yeah,
you probably get those.
If I'm going to see Pearl Jam, I'm going to see them once, right over, and I want to get an Even Flow. Right, I want Jeremy. I want
Right. Eddie the other night went off on Harrison Butt Kisser for the kicker for the Chiefs there, and was yelling about women and stuff like that. I don't know what song they did after. I'm sure the song tied into what he was saying.
I didn't even watch that guy's speech or anything, but I saw the backlash and I was like, the backlash is glorious. It's like, I didn't even, because I wasn't that interested. I wasn't gonna look it up, but
basically he's like, you graduated from college, now you should go get married and have babies.
What?
No, that's not what you should do. I mean, if that's
whatever the fuck you want to do. If you want to do that, fine. If you don't. Like, who the fuck cares what other people do? That's the part I don't understand. Is like everybody's so like busybody. Like, oh, do this, do that. You have to be this. It's like, I don't care. Do you just don't hurt anybody? Don't hurt me. Don't hurt other people. Do the fuck whatever you want.
Right. You're right. Show kindness and respect to people and live your life. And there we are. So did you see? I know you didn't listen to any of it because the Mixlers are horrible. Let me tell you about Chompers.
Yeah, you tell me about Chompers.
There was Lazy Lightning has mentioned this on the Discord. If you're not on the Discord, there's a link down in the description. You should join the Discord. But we were talking to Lazy Lightning. I was talking to Lazy Lightning, and he was we were talking about last night's show and how rough it was, and the transitions.
Tell me about it. What happened?
Well, the first night they did like playing Dark Star, St. Stephen, Let It Grow into drums, and it was flawless. They just flowed into each other. Last night they did Shakedown, Stopped. The China Cats the one last weekend and the one this weekend just didn't sound right.
I wonder what that is.
I don't know. Like somebody,
I guess.
Yeah, somebody isn't getting it. And then they did China Rider in the middle of the set, Stop, did Eyes, lots of stops and starts. And then Out of Space, they did Black Peter, normal to get a slow song. But then they did Brown Eyed Women, which is a first set song, and it was just awkward there. And then they did Bucket, which is an opener, not a closer in my mind. And then Throwing Stones. So it just seemed very disjointed.
I have a theory. Who's writing their set list?
I don't know, Bobby.
Right. John? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to go into that part of it, but we know who was writing the set list for tours.
Right. But I am very happy with myself, with them for proving me wrong. And this weekend, the first night they only repeated one song, Althea. Last night they only repeated 4 songs from the first weekend. So they've added a whole mess of new tunes. The thing is, I'm hearing 80%, 90% of the graphics are being repeated at this point.
Yeah, I think that's it.
They added some pyramids last night and had Bobby on one pyramid and Mickey on the other. The pyramids from Giza.
This is definitely like you don't need to see more than one
Right. And
type of show.
they broke out Maggie's Farm last night. Dylan's
Okay.
birthday was the night before, so in true Grateful Dead fashion, they totally
Wait, what
missed
day
his
is it? Oh,
birthday.
so you're talking about Saturday night, right?
Yeah. So Friday was Dylan's birthday, so they totally, in dead fashion, missed his birthday completely. But it's only the second time they've done Maggie's Farm, so I was excited for that.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, Matt's not writing the set list anymore, Bruce. He's gone. He's done.
He retired from the
He
band.
retired. So the playing was good. The set list was odd. The graphics were repeated. Is that a fairly decent summation of Dead and Go?
That's a fairly decent assessment.
And China Rider was kind of like
janky.
It's a shame. That's like one of my favorites. You got to nail that.
You know. I think as they go on, though, I mean, they've improved from last weekend. So I'm hoping by mid-June they'll have hit a real stride. And by the time
sorry.
No,
I was going to say one of the shows that we were talking about, we were saying that's why they're not streaming is because they were all rusty and shit, and that they would stream the last weekend after they got their practice in.
Right. I mean, I just can't see them leaving that money on the table.
Yeah, I can't. I don't know how they are. Except that
and not provide. I mean, I guess they have tapers in there, but not even providing soundboards on Nugs. Almost like the music is secondary to, I guess, the experience is what they're selling. Dead Forever,
Well, I think they got to get the music sounding good again. I think that's the problem. Is they know it sounded like. I don't know. You said they sounded okay though.
Yeah, no, but you still release the soundboards. You've done it forever. We've gotten every note for 30 years or more. Every note that you guys have played has been recorded and released somehow. Why not? Why are you going to stop now?
Capitalism. They're going to release it in some purchase package, a documentary, a box set, something.
Right.
Because they have the cameras there. I saw in their marketing through the Sphere Twitter, they have the freaking droid copter cameras going. Like they have the recording shit. You could see it on people with the freaking phones. You could see cameras. Right. So they're recording it. They're just not releasing it.
Well, they also have to have the cameras. They have to have the cameras to project them up onto the screen, though, too.
Okay. All right, maybe I didn't think this all the way through, but I still think that they're going to release something.
But if you're doing that, you just run, you hit record because the camera's going the whole time. And even if it stops for a few minutes, like the guy goes to the bathroom and walks away for a few minutes, you have 5 or 6 cameras that have complete performances.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
It is the money. That's what, I was listening to Throwing Stones, and when Weir was like rich man in his summer home, I was like, you are the rich man in the summer home now. And then somebody,
Bobby.
Right. And then somebody sent me a link to, I don't even know what this thing is called, but there's some like secret meeting of like the top executives in the world. And Clarence Thomas goes there in the woods up in Marin County. And
Bobby was there.
Bobby
don't fall into conspiracies either, though. Like, I don't doubt that, but you got to be careful about the links you get on the interwebs.
Well, no, this was a YouTube video.
Oh yeah, then it's legit. There's all the facts on YouTube.
Right. I mean, oh, come on.
Don't pull it up. You're gonna lose your connection.
No, I'm using my phone. Bohemian Grove Secrets and Stories. Bohemian Grove is the name of the place. And Bobby apparently goes and hangs out with like all the like 1%ers. There you go. Yes. So I'm going to dig into this because I love.
I was going to say we could just throw out the tease without us taking any stances because I don't know shit about it. So if you're curious as to what the hell Kev's talking about,
we should do an investigative reporter bit about.
We should bring back the jam band Illuminati.
Well, we can cut out we can cut Bobby out of that interview like we're talking to him. There we go.
What else? Feel like there's other shit going on.
There's all kinds of stuff going on.
Tour's coming up soon. We got an album coming up. A lot of exciting things.
Trey finishing up his tour. What do you think about Trey? I was like
pretty really good guitar player.
Right. Last week I was really hyped about the Tab. right?
Yeah.
But then I'm
The
thinking
Tab.
about the 3 shows he did at Brooklyn Steel were mostly Fish, and it was just like Fish Light, or it was like a Fish cover band almost. I wish Trey would stop doing the Fish tunes with Trey Anastasio Band, because he has
Why?
what, 9, 10 albums of Trey stuff?
Oh, yeah, I mean, if your argument, in which maybe it is that you want, like, Push On to the Day and, like, all the Trey stuff,
Mr.
I
Completely. Where is
right,
Mr. Completely?
but in my mind, Fish is so a lot of it is so Trey anyway, like, it's all Trey composition-wise, and you don't really get the Fish personality unless you hear them play the music. So when you hear Tab play the Fish songs, it's just Tab playing Trey songs and Fish playing Trey songs.
Right.
They sound
I heard
different.
I heard Mike wanted to put Let's Go on an album, and Trey did
I
not
like that
advocate.
song.
Right, and Trey did not advocate for him, and that's why Mike doesn't even bother suggesting songs. Now we're in the gossip realm, guys. Don't
Oh, Kev, I
but
hate to
I
tell you
that's
this,
what I
but
heard is that
everything we talk about is gossip.
that's why,
None of this
because
should be
I was like,
taken.
the last 2 albums, the one coming up and Sigma Oasis, no Mike songs, and somebody said that that was the reason Mike just gave up on it and was like, "Screw it, I'll put out my solo albums."
Yeah, but also good. Like, right? Like the Mike songs haven't been
I
like
wanted to hear a studio version of Fish doing Mole.
okay, I guess. But I mean that tracks because Big Bo came out in 16. 16 was right when Let's Go came out. So that
Right,
would have been on Big Boat that Trey would have had to have argued to get that, and that was with Ezrin, right?
right, it was with Ezrin, right. Right. Well, I mean, think, how about this? Let me throw this out. What if
Holy shit!
what?
He only got one song. Does he always only get one song? I
Who,
guess
Mike? Well,
so.
he got Way and Mound on Rift.
He only got Waking Up Dead,
Yeah.
and that song kind of sucked balls. But to
So,
be fair, the whole album kind of sucked balls. So
right. Let's Go should have opened that album.
let's go. No, I like Friends. I think Let's Go should have closed out album.
Oh, like we're leaving?
Yeah, let's go. And it has like the big clapping. All right,
Mm,
so I got to agree with you. I remember hearing that, and it might have been the debut at SPAC in 16, and thinking instantly, like, this song is fucking rips. Like, and I've never been a huge Mike's fan, like, of his newer
mm.
stuff. And I was shocked that they stopped playing it, that it fell out of rotation so fast. So that
Well,
everything you're saying tracks. Like, I know it's
all right,
gossip, but that completely makes sense to me.
let me ask you this. If a song like Way had not been on Rift, do you
Yeah.
think that it would have the pedigree it does and the way people look up to it? Or would it have been just forgotten, lost in the shuffle?
No, yeah, being on the album gave it its pedigree, but I still think it's deserving. I love the groove, and I think it has a fun, quirky sound to it, and I think it
I
works
still
well on the
say it's
album.
way too much to get to the punchline with
Uh,
the lyric.
yeah, but see, that's the difference between you and I. Who gives a fuck, right? Like,
And
I
the
just like the
and
music, like that, like
and the line
plucky.
the line the line about the razors and the hairs, I'm just like, dude, that's gross, man. That's
Right, that's their thing. That's a '90s thing. That's such a '90s thing. I like Ren and Stimpy. Like, well, I think about like '90s culture, and it was all just like that weird, abstract, gross, like humor.
right.
Like, I don't
I
know. I think it's very fish.
I
Yes,
saw the
back was the debut of Let's Go, so I was at that, and I was like, this song fucking slaps. And
I
yeah,
saw
okay.
this thing where somebody typed into Google search engine, um, were Ren and Stimpy in the Bible? Because there's an episode about Ren and Stimpy called Genesis 4. And AI came back, yes, Ren and Stimpy were in the Bible.
AI, man, that's gonna be the death
Watch
of
out for,
us.
well, I mean, what the hell is the point of having Google Chrome do AI for searches when search is AI anyway? I mean, that
Mm.
isn't it basically like the same thing, except they're trying to aggregate the results or whatever you call it?
No, I think it's because Microsoft released Copilot with Bing, and it's just where the competition's going, right?
Right.
It's
I uninstalled Copilot this morning.
Really? Does it
That's
scare
one of
you?
the I think that's one of the reasons we're working better today.
Man in denial. You'll blame every other possible option besides the fact that your computer's old as shit.
But I mean, age,
I mean, it is working better today.
I'm thinking about buying a car. I wanna buy, like, an 87, 88 Monte Carlo. I wanna
Ooh,
buy something
going
that
new.
it cannot hook up to the internet. I don't want a car that can hook up to the internet. I
I
wanna be
do
able to
miss
get in the leave my phone home, get in the car, and drive for an hour, and nobody knows where you are.
my first car was an '86 Ranger, Ford Ranger, and
Nice.
my dad was very adamant. My dad and brother were like, "You need to know how to like change spark plugs and a distribution cap, and like these are the carburetor, and like you get your hands in there and figure out how to like do the maintenance and like oil change and tires." Like I couldn't I'm not like pretending like I could rebuild an engine or take apart a
Right.
transmission. Like I'm not that level, but like standard maintenance. And then 2 cars later, it was all plastic. I opened up the hood and I was like, "Oh, all those skills are never going to be used again. I don't know how any of this shit works."
Right. The first time I did spark plugs, nobody told me that I had to do the gap. I had to gap them,
Oh
so my shit
yeah.
just didn't run right, and I called my buddy, I'm like, "Dude, what did I do wrong? I screwed my car." He came over, he's like, "Dude, you didn't gap them." And I was like, "Oh."
Oops. Yeah, they had that like thin gauge metal that you use.
Right, yeah, and you had the little wheel thing that you put the whatever millimeters you wanted in it
Yeah,
or
gauge is another name for thickness, right?
okay,
Millimeters, right?
right.
Or mils, I believe. I don't think it's millimeters. I think it's mils, which is like
Little
hundredths of
mills,
an inch.
right.
Yeah, or thousandths of an inch. I don't know, man. It's too early in the morning to do math.
No math. No math at
Oh,
all.
I'm
So,
excited about this festival thing, though. I think that's going to be a really fun idea. We got to make sure we. You want to do that next week?
yes, yes,
All
we'll
right.
do Clifford Ball. We need
Cool.
to, check into who was there. That was a special one because you know what? It was not on my radar till 4 days before.
Of course.
Well, I went to Hershey and my buddy's like, "I'm going up to this Clifford Ball thing. I got an extra ticket. You wanna come?" I was like, "Sure, let me grab a bag. Let's go."
Oh, you got a Dark Star? Was that last night
2 nights
or
ago,
two
Friday night.
nights ago?
Playing Darkstar to open the second set. So you got the 2 workhorses back to
Did you?
back.
I totally missed it. If you said that, that's awesome. Was it
Yeah, yeah.
good?
Yes, yes, they sounded so good. I mean, I think that the best place for them is a song like that, that once they get through the song, it falls apart. That they're allowed to go into the spaces where
And
something like
just be
China
good
Cat, they have
musicians.
right, China Cat, you have to play the same riff over and over and over and over. Dun, 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 you know?
Yeah.
And I think that's what screws up, like Trey fucking up Glide that time. It's the problem of having to keep that intricate rhythm going.
Right. Yeah. No. Although O'Teal's really good at that,
Well, Gil's
but
the master. He may be the best bass player out there today.
I could agree with that. Yeah. I mean, Claypool, but different style. It's hard to compare. I
It
think
is.
for variety and catalog and experience, sure. I think it would be hard to
Well, I
argue with
think
that.
you could I think the thing is you could put O'Teal in any band and you'd know it was O'Teal, but he would completely adapt. I think if you put Claypool in any band, you'd be like, damn, Les Claypool's playing with that band. You know, he would,
Right.
I think,
It would be his
overwhelm it.
version of that band. Be
Right.
like, it would be Les Claypool's Grateful Dead or Les Claypool's Nirvana. Like it would be whatever band.
Right.
Which I mean, which is also sweet that he has such a distinctive sound and has owned it and shit. But
Right.
right,
No,
O'Teal playing with Almonds sounded just like Almonds. Like you could, and with the Dead, I'm not gonna say it sounds just like the Dead, but like you know what I mean? Like he respects what Phil did. He wasn't like
mhm,
shitting all over and making it his own thing. He's taking it, but
right.
then also not just doing a cover band, like growing the music and understanding how to jam with it. So
Right. Did you see that Jane's Addiction, the original lineup, did a show the other night?
oh really?
Yeah,
Wait,
Dave
what is
Navarro
that?
apparently Dave Navarro has had COVID for years, and this is the first time he came out and played.
COVID for years?
Yeah, for years,
That's
they said.
rough.
He's been struggling with it for 2 years or something.
Wow. I ran into
Are you a
somebody
Jane's
that
Addiction fan? I mean, you're the right age. Well, you're probably a little young because their first album came out, I was a senior in high school, so that was '89 or something, '88 maybe it came out, and it was big.
Yeah, I was, but that phase of my life, I didn't stay in long, right? Because like that was kind of like where things started, and then I went backwards into like the 70s and had like the big Zeppelin, and then I had the phase of my life where I was like doing classic rock, and then I found hippie music, so to speak, and then that was it. Like from there on out.
Right. When I did the dive back into classic rock in the 80s, I went into the 60s. So I kind of got the classic rock and the hippie thing together.
Right. Yeah, no, I was definitely more 70s. Like Zeppelin, CCR, fucking Floyd, like
CCR.
late
Why
60s or early 70s.
why do jam bands not cover CCR
I
tunes?
don't
I
know.
mean, my God, Green River, somebody could just jam. It just has all that open space. I mean,
Maybe vocals. It's hard, right? Like you need to like most jam bands don't have good singers, and I feel like that's a
John
very
Fogerty.
those
Right.
yeah, Fogerty, like you need to like those are not songs that I think you could just like fuck up and throw in. Whereas like
Right.
other band, I don't know. I haven't thought it all
Right.
the way through, but I would guess that would be the reason.
Right. That Fogerty solo album, Center Field, came out when I was like 12 or 13, and I got the tape. And that was really how I found and fell in love with Creedence, because I was like, this is incredible. Old Man Up the Road and Rock and Roll
Yeah.
Girls and Center Field. I was like, this guy writes a hell of a song. And then you're like, oh, CCR put out 6 albums in 3 years and had 12 number one hits in 3 years. They were my vote for the greatest American rock and roll band. They really were.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't know if I agree with that. I think so. Top 2 or 3.
Yeah,
What's the
they
best
could be.
soundtrack?
They're in the conversation. Best soundtrack? I really love the Big Chill soundtrack,
I'm trying to think of that.
which has a bunch of Motown on it. It's a bunch of Motown tunes.
Yeah.
I really love the Twin Peaks, the Fire Walk with Me movie soundtrack, for a soundtrack that isn't other people's music. That's Adrian, whatever that guy's name is, and the woman singing, Julie Cruz. It's just, it's beautiful. It's ethereal. It's a very good meditative piece to get into.
I was thinking of Forrest Gump with Fortunate Son. Like that's where my mind went. I was like,
my God,
of like through the time.
Like,
yeah, it's really like then there's a lot of great songs. And then Dazed and Confused, I was gonna say too. And honestly, the movie starts at the bar with the hurricane. When you come in, that's when the movie gets going. But yeah, with Aerosmith and Dylan and all that, and Dazed and Confused, I think is fucking phenomenal.
Right. I'd throw out heavy metal too if you like the 80s rock, like hard rock. It had Blue Oyster Cult and stuff like that on it. Now for the worst,
yes,
I would go with the Sgt. Pepper movie and soundtrack album that the Bee Gees and Peter Frampton did in the late 70s. It is abysmal. Aerosmith doing Come Together. They're all doped out and they just destroy the song.
Yeah, I also really hate, and I've been watching a lot of kid movies, but there's like these famous songs, and I don't know how you I don't know the name. But okay, so this is what I was gonna get at. Like Pulp Fiction's an example of a good version, but all these kid movies now take these songs from movies like Pulp Fiction and Kill Bill, and like what's that song where it's like fuck, you don't Kill Bill, it's like wow wow, and like it's like that like famous like down like that whole thing, and like they put it in every fucking animated movie, and I'm like, oh my God, I've heard this soundtrack 15 million times. Stop doing this with these movies.
It's a stock piece. It's cheap to buy that one.
Right, exactly. I guess modern movies, the Guardians movies have fun soundtracks. I enjoyed those. Although even that's become overdone. I feel like when James Gunn did that, it was like really fresh to hear like these like expensive. That's what it was. They were expensive songs, right? They weren't the cheap songs. They were songs that they had to pay the estates like a lot of money to get. And you're like, oh, this is cool. You're doing the modern, Right. And then like everybody started doing it, like, okay, not cool anymore.
Pretty soon AI will be doing it.
Oh yeah, Almost Famous. Yeah, McGrupp, sorry.
I tell you, did you ever watch that The Seven? Daisy somebody, or it was a fictional band based, I guess, kind of on Fleetwood Mac, and it had all original music in it, and it was pretty good for what it was. Not that I'm going to go spin it later, but watching it, you're like, ah, this is an all right song.
Wait, what are you talking about? 'Cause I watched Seven, but Seven was about
No,
sins,
no,
and it had
not
Morgan
seven,
Freeman.
not that seven.
Well, so what
The
Seven are
six.
you talking about?
No, it was Daisy something in the six.
Oh, so you
Oh,
had the wrong number.
I
I'm
did.
like, what is wrong? I'm not following. Yeah. Are you looking it up?
Yeah.
Right. I agree, Mike. Like like with the headset and like integrating it into the world of the of the movie. Very cool.
Uh,
We, you
who
don't have to
knows?
look it up, man. It's not that
Oh, but
important.
now it's in like stuck in my head. Oh, no wonder because I'm looking in fucking
It's
emails.
Daisy Jones and the Six.
Huh?
It's
Yes,
Daisy
that's
Jones
the
and the
Daisy
Six.
Jones and the Six. Yes.
I love
Yes.
how chat is faster than Kev at looking shit up. And there's a lag, so
Oh, what? I didn't fix the latency on this?
oh, you didn't. I did though, but still.
Hmm.
It's all
I
right.
spaced that. You know, there's a lot to setting these things up there.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on. So what do we got going on next week?
What do we
What
have
is that?
going on?
What is the show for Tuesday? What show are we listening to for what club?
Let
For
me
people
go
not
to
on
the
Discord.
let me go to the Discord so I could find it. I'm so glad we have for no other reason. I'm glad we set the Discord up just for these reminders of like what the fuck are we doing? Okay, so this Tuesday we are going to be recapping 9/26/91. I actually listened to it yesterday while I was doing yard work. I'm going to listen to it again. I love this freaking time period late in the year in 91 where like they started introducing It's Ice and Brother and Sparkle and all those songs, and fucking like Divided Sky sounded phenomenal. Had no, we're doing 26, Mike. I see, that's the thing. I thought we were gonna do 25. No, we picked 26, and then I looked it up, and I was accidentally looking at 25, which was also a great show, but we decided to not fudge the rules, so we're gonna stick with
You know what's so
926.
fascinating to me
What?
is this period they had just not long before been in the studio and put down all the Picture of Nectar songs, but they already had the whole next they had half the next album, maybe more, enter into the rotation before they even released Picture of Nectar, you know?
Yeah. I mean, it was a very fruitful
Prolific. They
time.
were just prolific at that moment. And Trey
Yeah,
is still prolific. It's just it's a lot of poop these days. I
it's
mean,
Trey Gay. I mean, there's good stuff in there too. I think Oblivion's a great song. I'm still hyped on that, but you know, yeah, it's a mixed bag. It's certainly a mixed
now,
bag.
did you
But
listen to the versions of Oblivion with Tab, classic Tab? Did you get
I
to hear
did.
any of
It
them?
was clean. Yeah. I like
I like Desrin. I like what Desrin does better than what Mike does.
yeah, them's fighting not for me. I agree, but I feel like I'm afraid to make takes like that because people are gonna piss off.
We
Yeah,
love you, Mike.
I do
It's
love
like the
Mike.
whole Fishman thing with him not getting Jabu right because he
This is
didn't
your
play.
take, by the way. Everybody knows this is Kev's take. I don't want to inherit and own more Mike hate. Mike's great. I love Mike.
We love you, Mike.
Tab feels cleaner in their playing. I think Fish plays more notes. I think Mike does more tonal stuff than Dez. So, and I don't think either's better or worse, but I think Fish fills out the like head sphere of like the sound a little bit more, whereas Tab plays more like pocket, like studio. You know what I mean? Like
Tab
they
is a
just feel
bar
like it's a
band.
very, yeah.
Right. Classic Tab is a bar band, and I think that's the attraction. That's why I want to go
I
see
do
them
like
because
it, but I wouldn't say that it's better. I think it's just what I'm in the mood for. Sometimes I like listening to Tab sound, but I love all the intricacies and layers that Fish brings to their music. And it's so funny because like somebody that's never heard them before, sometimes I'll do it with jams, like musician friends. I'll be like, how many musicians do you hear? And like these are people that know how to listen for it.
Mhm.
And then it still feels because with the layering and all the shit that they do, if they make it feel like more than 4 musicians, right? And then meanwhile, you listen to a band like Goose, which again, not disrespected because I like them, but then it'll sound like 3 musicians, even though they have the percussionists and all 2 guitars and stuff. And it's like, you know,
I'm wondering what's going to happen since they've moved into the Bill and Mickey thing with Jeff playing the small kit now and having the stuff around him instead of just standing with the congos.
I hate that they did it now. They should have done that with Ben. I think Ben, and I like Ben, but I think Ben would have benefited more. Cotter doesn't need that, and I think it's going to weigh him down. Like Cotter is a very, very solid,
It's a
expressive
misstep.
drummer.
It's a
Yeah.
misstep out of the box.
I feel like that. I don't think there's been enough evidence to say it definitively. I never loved it with the Dead. I feel like Billy got held back.
He did. He did.
I feel like he could have been even better, and I think he's a good drummer. Don't get me wrong, but I feel like he could have done more and grown more and more without that. And I feel like the same thing could happen with Cotter. We'll see. Maybe Jeff will be like, "Oh, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to change it up." But right now, it seems like a misstep.
Right. I mean, you listen to Kreutzmann in 72 and 74, that Grateful Dead
Awesome.
sounds like nothing else because he's a complete jazz drummer. He's totally free to do whatever he wants because he doesn't have to keep in step with Mickey.
Right. And Mickey's so heavy hand. I mean, Billy's heavy handed too, but he's just like, it weighs it down. It creates this like heaviness to the drumming that he didn't need to have.
Man, we need to bring back the what if. Like, what if Mickey never rejoined the Grateful Dead?
I know that was such a great idea, except for the actual execution of the production. Because we come up with all these great ideas. They're like, okay, now how do we show that on video? Right? And it's like, I don't
What if
know.
Jeff Holdsworth never left the band?
We should bring what if back as a topic for like conversation, right? Like
That
so as
might
a
be a good
segment on Wednesday nights where we'll
live
write what
topic.
if scenarios and then we'll just think it out on air, right? Because we were
Right.
trying to do it as like, you know, a production, like we actually like imagine and show it.
Right.
But I was like, how the fuck do you show the Grateful Dead without Mickey? Like, like in reality, you like, how do you do that?
It would have to be animated. It would have to be some weird, like, sort of
You know how
animation
hard
thing.
it is to
I
animate?
know.
You look at the credits. Next time you're watching a cartoon, look at the credits. It's like 80 fucking people that's just listed under animator.
Yeah.
That's why, like Brad and Chad, it's like we tried so hard to get that off the ground. And I'm like, man, this is really fucking hard. And then I watched the cartoon and paid attention to the credits. It's like, yeah,
Well,
no
that's
shit, we
why-
couldn't get it off the ground.
But that's why South Park looks like it does, because it was the two of them, and they're like, what's the easiest way we could do this? You know?
Yeah. That'd be too derivative to do something like that at this point. I don't know.
Oh,
I
I
have
hear
no
ya.
interest in that. You know what I'm going to start, by the way, and this isn't taking away from Wook Plus at all, but I've been doing a lot of coloring with Evie because, like, you know, she's a kid. And I'm like, I'm going to start recording us coloring and do one of those because that's the other thing she does. She watches people color on YouTube. I'm like, I'm going to start a family friendly coloring YouTube where we just color. And like, you don't see us. Like, it's just like a face down camera and you just see the coloring. But like, people fucking watch that shit. Like that ASMR. I'm like, that'd be fun.
It's very soothing.
It's extremely soothing, dude. I enjoy it so much. All right, I'm gonna make confession time and then we'll call it. She goes to bed and I go back downstairs and like the coloring's still out and I'm like, all right, I could color for like 10 more minutes. And I'm a grown ass man sitting at the kitchen table.
I love coloring. I love doing that with my kids. I mean, I haven't done it since they were out of elementary school, but there was a time I totally get that. It's very relaxing. There's a zen to it. All you're thinking about is your hand moving and filling in a
staying
space,
in the lines, maybe a little shading. Keep the right.
Well, I never
right
stayed in
weight.
the lines, but
Well, all right, another bad confession. She's like, "Daddy, can I finish yours?" And I'm like 80% done, and it's like perfect. And like, she's 5, of course. And I'm like, yeah, because I have to let her. And then I see her go over the line. I'm like, oh, it's okay. Like, of course I have to let her. I'm going to, but then I'm just like,
but then
holding
it's
my
probably
breath.
her favorite. It's her favorite because you two did it together, you know?
Right, of course, and it's amazing, and she's getting better. She's doing a great job, but like, it's so funny. Like, why do I care? I shouldn't care. I should be like, yeah, fucking do whatever you want, color. It'll be great. But there's that like perfectionist in me that you know how I
Sucks
get
being
them.
human.
Yeah, right. I'm just like, oh my god. Yeah. I think that's a good enough time. We've got a bunch of confessions. A good enough time to wrap it. Anything else? Any other announcements?
Tuesday at 1. We'll see you
Tuesday at
then.
1. Yeah, awesome. Thanks, guys. Hang out with you next time. Hang out with us next time.
Like and subscribe.